humans, if you're here, you're probably like me, hitting midlife. Sleep deprived, worrying about if you swapped the laundry, turning off the stove, submitted your client deliverables. Whether you'll even be remembered when you drop dead in 15 or 20 summers from now. Bleak? Yeah. Welcome to Beyond the Quo. I'm Stacey Luces, and I invite you into this awkward-ass place where we unpack these unsettling questions, the ones we push down while we tick the boxes of having it all. Maybe you have the title, the fancy career title, the house, the 401k, a kid, a dog, a cat, maybe 3, right? Maybe a vacation property or an ill-advised timeshare. But you often wonder, shit, is this all there is? If you felt that restlessness, that feeling like there's something more than the midlife crisis or surviving menopause intact or navigating the tsunami of kids who are in their teenage years, something beyond the status quo, you're in the right place. This podcast isn't about following the script. It's about tearing it up. This is where we go past the expected, beyond the shoulds and musts, into a life that feels a little bit more authentic. So, what's beyond the quo? What's beyond the career win? What's beyond our family ties, our kin? What's beyond maybe even stuff we've done in the past that we consider a bit of a sin, something bad that makes us, not like what we did? What's beyond even this body or the skin that we're in? Do you ever wonder if there has to be more? So do I. So I'm a living example of somebody that almost did not get the opportunity to discover what's beyond the status quo. I want to take you back to 2012. I was riding high. I was one of 30 people handpicked at the Department of Homeland Security, traveling, making connections, and learning from top executives. Cut to May. It's 7 a.m. and I'm in the ER in Maryland with my sister Amy, where doctors took a look at my MRI scan and rushed me to emergency surgery. On that operating table, I flatlined twice. And when I came out, I knew that I had a really, really, really powerful choice to make. Was I going to keep living in the status quo that had gotten me there on that operating table? Or was I going to change everything? I feel like what got me there was being stressed and overwhelmed and anxious and trying to be enough for everyone and everything. If this sounds familiar, then you're in the right place. But if you ever find yourself afraid to look at yourself in the mirror and admit you're tired of feeling tired, or you find yourself listening to your inner critic, or you worry about if people think you're crazy or you're too old or you're too young to start over, to disrupt the status quo, to follow your passions. If you're comfortable, but deep inside you know that you'll have regrets, Beyond the Quo is for you. I want to say that 2 weeks after I left that hospital, I sat in my bedroom watching my children. And that was the moment that I decided I would never again go back to what felt comfortable. So my resurrection, my reinvention, my reckoning, whatever you want to call it, is deeply personal. And I knew that my entire life had to change. So what did that mean? For me, it meant quitting a 25-year career, leaving a federal job in Washington, D.C., right? A nice, fat 6-figure paycheck, and setting out to build my own business, something that would fulfill me. It meant moving our family from Maryland to Florida, where we live near the ocean. And now I help people in midlife find clarity on what matters and design a life that is worth crying over every morning because you can't believe this shit feels so yummy. I'm also an immigrant. I've suffered burnout, infertility, the woman of color tax, the autoimmune roller coaster. But I have an unbreakable belief that life should be lived unapologetically. You get to own your life, because when you finally break free from what no longer serves you, it's only then, I think, that you can live a life of authenticity, purpose, and freedom. That's the sauce, right? That's the magic. Real talk, though. I did some research, and 25% of us in middle age have some sort of addiction, mostly to prescription drugs. 30% of us have sleep disorders, 60% are stressed out, 40% of us have hypertension, and our age group has the highest rate of suicide, and we are dealing with significant mental health challenges. So Beyond the Quo for me is more than a podcast, it's a calling. It's part of why I founded the Living Beyond movement, a movement that brings coaching, workshops, and community, and a space for people who've been following the rules for very long, for as long as they can remember, and who've held it together for everyone else. But now the pressure's become too much and they need a way to find a different way of living. And they want more. And that's okay. So why does this podcast matter? I think first, can we all agree that we want more, right? Your version of more may be very different from my version of more. Maybe we want more honesty, more real talk, more integrity, more money, more self-worth. In midlife, those first couple of years, they kind of feel like practice. Perfectionism, following the script, people-pleasing, imposter syndrome, good girl syndrome, best prize for being humble and self-sacrificing and demure. Yes, I said it. And for putting everyone and everything above ourselves. I'm not saying that we abandon what we love or neglect those we care for or stop being good humans. I just feel like we can learn from better humans, right? Like the people that were broken down by trauma, by drama, heck, maybe even their baby mama, and they kept going. They kept reinventing, right? They kept redefining, what does success look like? What does authenticity look like? What does self-love look like? So this space, I want to make this a sacred space, right? It's going to give us room to breathe, to cry. Maybe you'll be laughing so hard you'll snort water out of your nose. I don't know. We get to cuss a little and not apologize. And yes, I will say fuck. I'm probably going to say it all the time. And I want to invite the daring leap of faith, holy shit, I did that kind of people to come sit with us and share their truths so that we can learn, so that we can be inspired, so that you can be inspired, especially at this mega crossroad of our life. So we can still be able to balance a career and our family and expectations and responsibilities, but still claim our full and authentic self in all of our messy, quirky, brilliant form. Where these guests share how they navigated this invisible line that we're all walking, stretched between the past and the future, and how we get to show up for our calling the same way that they have shown up for theirs. Where we get that permission, I feel like sometimes we feel we need permission to make these decisions with no judgment. So what will you gain from Beyond the Status Quo? Well, real stories, raw stories, real people, strategies, authenticity, and now that you know a little bit more about me, a true sense of urgency around figuring out your next chapter and having no shame in being vulnerable and being able to ask for grace, because there are some times when you feel like you're in a ditch and you don't know how to get out of it. So each episode is going to be more than an inspiration and a cool story. Yeah, it's going to be a step towards your next chapter. Together, we'll explore how to navigate the pull between career demands, family expectations, and claiming and honoring your true self. You'll learn techniques for boundaries and ways to prioritize your own well-being, without guilt. And for those of us balancing these midlife responsibilities, this podcast will help you find clarity and make bold decisions without apology. Whether it's reframing your definition of success, whether it's releasing the weight of other people's expectations, or simply finding a way to feel whole, bring your voice, your doubts, your questions to this community. We're here to guide each other beyond the quo We're here to guide each other beyond the quo we've lived in for so long. Beyond the Quo is not meant for everyone. It's going to be funny. It's going to be gritty. Some of it is probably going to irritate you if it doesn't jive with the way that you think things are supposed to be. And I will warn you, I am a belly laugher, so I'm going to laugh quite a bit, hopefully, because the guests I have are going to be my vibe. And I want to find humans that are beautiful, and chaotic and blinding in their truth, so that they can share themselves with us and so that you feel like this is a conversation with a close friend. So if you're ready to claim this next chapter on your terms, if you're done with the limits, the labels, and you're ready for something real, hit that subscribe button. Join us each week and bring that part of you that's hungry for more. because you, my friend, deserve a life that's worthy of your potential. You've already done the quo. Now it's time to go beyond.